जय राधा माधव कुंजा बिहारी। जय राधा माधव कुंजा बिहारी। जय गोपी जनवल्लभा गिरिवरधारी। जय गोपी जनवल्लभा गिरिवरधारी। यशोदनंदना व्रज जनरंजना। यशोदनंदना व्रज जनरंजना। यमुना तीरा वनचारी। यमुना तीरा वनचारी। जय राधा माधव कुंजा बिहारी। जय राधा माधव कुंजा बिहारी। जय गोपी जनवल्लभा गिरिवरधारी। जय गोपी जनवल्लभा गिरिवरधारी। यशोदनंदना व्रज जनरंजना। यशोदनंदना व्रज जनरंजना। यमुना तीरा वनचारी। यमुना तीरा वनचारी। जय राधा माधव कुंजा बिहारी। जय गोपी जनवल्लभा गिरिवरधारी। यशोदनंदना व्रज जनरंजना। यमुना तीरा वनचारी। जय राधा माधव कुंजा बिहारी। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे। हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे। हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा कृष्णा हरे हरे। हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे। हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा कृष्णा हरे हरे। हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। जय राधा श्याम सुंदर राधा श्याम सुंदर राधे। जय राधा श्याम सुंदर राधा श्याम सुंदर राधे। जय कृष्ण बलराम जय कृष्ण बलराम जय कृष्ण बलराम जय कृष्ण बलराम। जय जगन्नाथ जय बलादेवा जय सुभद्रा। जय गौरानिता जय गौरानिता जय गौरानिता जय गौरानिता। निताय गौरा हरि बोल हरि बोल निताय गौरा हरि बोल। निताय गौरांगो निताय गौरांगो निताय गौरांगो जय गौर हरि। निताय गौरांगो निताय गौरांगो निताय गौरांगो जय गौर हरि। गौरा गौरा गौर हरि गौरा गौरा गौर हरि। निताय गौरा हरि बोल निताय गौरा हरि बोल। जय सच्चिनंदना जय सच्चिनंदना गौर हरि गौरा गौरा गौर हरि। निताय गौरा हरि बोल निताय गौरा हरि बोल। मायापुर चंद्रा गौर हरि नदिया बिहारी गौर हरि। गौरा गौरा गौर हरि गौरा गौरा गौर हरि। निताय गौरा हरि बोल निताय गौरा हरि बोल। जय प्रभुपदा जय प्रभुपदा जय प्रभुपदा जय प्रभुपदा जय जय प्रभुपाद Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol Devam Vishwat Paramahamsa Parviraj Kacharya Ashtotra Satsri Srimati Srimangesi Bhakti Vedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai Devam Vishnupat Paramahamsa Parviraj Kacharya Ashtotra Satsri Srimati Srimangesi Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Goswami Prabhupada Ki Jai Anant Koti Vaishnavand Ki Jai Namacharya Shardas Thakur Ki Jai प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद की जय श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की जय ब्रजभूमि श्री वृंदावन धाम की जय नवद्वीप मायापुर धाम की जय श्री क्षेत्र जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की जय गंगा यमुना की जय भक्ति देवी तुलसी महारानी की जय समवेत भक्त वृंद की जय हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय तय गौर प्रेमानंद हरि हरि बोल All glories to assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories, all glories, all glories. Shri Guru and Gauranga, Gauranga, Prabhupada ki jai. Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Vishtaye Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nidramane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharya Nirvisesha Sunyavad Pachatya Destarane. Okay, we are reading from Bhagavad Gita. Thank you for joining. Chapter 2, Contents of Gita summarized, verse number 55 to 56 and 57. We'll see how much cover. Let me share. Second chapter, Contents of Gita summarized, verse number 55. Okay. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayamudirayet nasta prayeshu abhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttama sloke bhaktir bhavati naistiki. Hari Om Tat Sat. 2.55 Sri Bhagavan Vacha Prajahati yada kaman sarvan pardha manogatan Atmani vatmana tushta sthita prajnastadochyate. Sri Bhagavan Vacha Prajahati yada kaman sarvan pardha manogatan. Hare Krishna. Thank you for joining. We are reading from Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, just started, verse number 55. Hare Krishna Prabhu. You can mute and you just started. Kirtan was over, just started. Sri Bhagavan Vacha Prajahati yada kaman sarvan partha manogatan Atmani vatmana tushta sthita prajnastadochyate. Sri Bhagavan Vacha Prajahati yada kaman sarvan partha manogatan Atmani vatmana tushta sthita prajnastadochyate. One more time. Sri Bhagavan Vacha Prajahati yada kaman sarvan partha manogatan Atmani vatmana tushta sthita prajnastadochyate. Synonyms. Sri Bhagavan Vacha, the Supreme Personality of Godhead said, Prajahati, Prajahati, gives up, Yada, when, Kaman, desires for sense gratification, Sarvan, of all varieties, Pardha, O son of Pratha, Mana Gatan, a mental concoction. Atmani, in the pure state of the soul. Eva, certainly. Atmana, by the purified mind. Tushta, satisfied. Sthitha Prajna, transcendentally situated. Tada, at that time. Uchate is said. Translation by Javangir A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, O Partha, when a man gives up all varieties of desire for sense gratification, which arise from mental concoction, and when his mind thus purified finds satisfaction in the self alone, then he is said to be in pure transcendental consciousness. Please repeat. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, O Partha, when a man gives up all varieties of desire for sense gratification, which arise from mental concoction, and when his mind, thus purified, finds satisfaction in the self alone, then he is said to be in the pure transcendental consciousness. Verse number 56. Probably we'll just take only 2 verses. We will not have time to cover 3. दुःखेषु अनुद्विग्नमनः सुखेषु विगतस्पृहः वीतरागभयक्रोधा स्थितधीर्मुनिरुच्यते. दुःखेषु अनुद्विग्नमनः सुखेषु विगतस्पृहः वीतरागभयक्रोधा स्थितधीर्मुनिरुच्यते. दुःखेषु अनुद्विग्नमनः सुखेषु विगतस्पृहः वीतरागभयक्रोधा स्थितधीर्मुनिरुच्यते. Dukkeshu, in the threefold miseries, anudvignamana, without being agitated in mind, sukeshu, in happiness, vigata spruhaha, without being interested, vita, free from, raga, attachment, bhaya, fear, krodha, and anger, sthitadi, whose mind is steady, muni, a sage, uchate, is called. Translation by the Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. One who is not disturbed in mind, even amidst the threefold miseries, are elated when there is happiness, and who is free from attachment, fear, and anger, is called a sage of steady mind. Repeat. One who is not disturbed in mind, even amidst the threefold miseries, are elated when there is happiness, and who is free from attachment, fear, and anger is called a stage of steady mind. Try to understand. So we are discussing from Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, verse number 55 and 56. Last section of this chapter. This is a very important section. Before that, we offer our prayers and then we will try to understand. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanasalakaya Chakshurunmelitam Mena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namah. Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langete Girim Yat Krupatamaham Vande Sri Gurum Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Sri Chaitanyeswaram. Vancha Kalpatarubhyasya Krupa Sindhu Bhaivacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namo. Ashwantu Ki Jai. जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधार श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद. हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे. श्री चैतन्य मनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं. रूप गोस्वामी प्रभुपाद की जय. प्रभुपाद की जय. So we are in chapter 2, Contents of Gita summarized, verse number 55 and 56. So basically so far, Arjuna had expressed his doubts and reasons for not doing his duty. And this is addressing, Arjuna had raised 5 doubts, questions, obstacles on his path to perform his duty, his dharma. So, which is, I don't want to fight because the compassion for his own family members. I don't want to fight because there is no enjoyment. I don't want to fight because of sinful activity. I don't want to fight because destruction of dynasty. So, unwanted population. So many like this he has mentioned, but these are the main. And then finally, he couldn't decide what to do. And then he sat down in the second chapter beginning. That's the first chapter is more doubts, Arjuna Vishada Yoga, lamenting, so many other aspects are there. Politics, diplomacy, so Dhritarashtra's characteristics, so enviousness, jealousiness of this material world, all those things are expressed in the chapter 1. It's not just a story, but chapter 1 also has a lot of background, lot of instructions to learn from different characters who are assembled on the battlefield. Now the chapter 2 beginning so is a very important chapter, just like the 18th chapter, because all different types of yoga are presented in a sequence by Supreme Lord Sri Krishna. So in the beginning of second chapter, Arjuna still argued, you didn't kill your guru, you asked me to kill my guru Dronacharya and Bhishma Pitama. So then finally he could understand he cannot go further with this argument. So then he surrendered to Supreme Lord Sri Krishna in 2.7. So section 1 is the until 1 to 6. Obviously Krishna before that he didn't instruct him. He just only instigated him. He chastised him a little bit. You are not speaking like you are not speaking or acting like Aryan. So you are coming from both father and mother Kshatriya family. This is impudence. This is all weakness. Weakness, and how did this come up? So then gradually Arjuna could understand. Then he surrendered in 2.7. So he could understand his doubts. He could understand his especially weakness in the heart. He needs a superior guidance. He understood. Initially, he thought he could do without anybody's guidance. He can do whatever he wants, but he is able to surrender. This is the first step in our spiritual progress. One must surrender, one must follow the guidance of the spiritual authority, otherwise it's a big problem. And we see in today's verses also, we see from the examples how much it is important. The great scholars itself, even though they are submitting also to the spiritual master, so how important it is, we'll understand. So that is section 2 is the Arjuna surrender to Krishna. That is section 2, just 2.7. Then Lord Krishna started giving instructions in the form of Sankhya Yoga, because Arjuna's bewilderment is based on the bodily concept of life. That was the first and foremost problem. So that is why in today's verse also there are 3 levels: gross body, subtle body, and spiritual body. So we have to come to operate on the platform of the ultimately come to that last section, last level, spiritual body. So we have to go beyond operating on the gross body and then to the subtle body and then to the spiritual body. We have to spiritualize everything, the gross, subtle. So that is what Krishna consciousness means. That's what Krishna is presenting here in the last section. It is also called Samadhi. Fixed up Krishna consciousness. So in the third section, Sankhya Yoga, because Arjuna is bewildered on the gross body conception. That's why Krishna took a lot of time explaining those 20 plus verses about the body and soul in terms of this giving up the old clothes and wearing new clothes. It seems very, very easy thing, very simple thing, basic thing to understand. We are not this body, we are spirit, soul. But again and again we get caught up every day. This goes on. We can imagine how much we are in this 3 modes of nature condition, struggling to come out of it. As we go to take shower, we take out and again we wear new clothes, and still we are not understanding. We are not this clothes, we are not this skin, we are inside something else. But still we are not realizing, even though we do those kind of activities every day, but still we don't realize. Same thing Arjuna is also presenting like that to get the instruction. Anyway, so Vasamsi Jirnani Yata Vihaya Navani Nadana Roparani. So that's a beautiful verse explaining the same aspect of it. Then finally, Krishna started giving the next coming to Next, coming to your duty. You are supposed to come to fight, but you forgot your duty. And then he brought up the duty, karma. So after Sankhya Yoga or Gnana Yoga, analytically describing about the body and soul, just only in brief, not great detail. That is in Canto 3 of Srimad Bhagavatam. That is called actual Sankhya Yoga. In great detail, how the creation happened, the whole anatomy, the whole dynamics of the creation, and all the 26 elements, all those are. That's why that Canto 3 is called Sankhya. Here only in Bhagavad Gita, very brief, 26 verses, you can't understand the whole creation. So that is a Sankhya Yoga. Then is also called Gnana Yoga because that is the knowledge of the body and soul, Sambandha Gnana. And then Krishna spoke about the next aspect of Karma Yoga, about the activity, especially the duty or Dharma. Krishna spoke in detail for 9 verses or so, from 31st to 39. 39th was also very important verse. And then he started speaking. Now you understand basic fundamental body and soul. Now you understand what is duty on the platform of the soul. And also even if you think as a body also, you have some duty to perform. Nobody can sit idle. Even to eat also, you have to put some energy, you have to work. So then Krishna is bringing now, this is not enough just to understand duty. You must come out of that binding. Currently everybody is bound by the reactions for every action. So that's why Krishna is bringing Nishkama Karma Yoga from 41 onward. Before that, he is explaining what is the benefit. Why should I am working, I should reap all the benefits. Why should I not expect the results? Why should I not be attached? That's why he has given the benefit is to, you will not get, at least you will get human birth minimum guaranteed. So 40th verse, Krishna is giving that guarantee for performing Nishkama Karma Yoga. So that is verse number 41 to all the way to 49 or 51 or so. Then Krishna is explaining about the Bhakti Yoga, or also called Buddhi Yoga. Buddhi is used in almost 4 or 5 verses from all the way to 49 or 50 to 54. So that is action in Krishna consciousness, fixed in Krishna consciousness, different ways. Translation, if you look at the word, is Buddhi Yoga, but in the word to word translation, Prabhupada translates almost all of them into something related, either fixed in Krishna consciousness or Krishna consciousness or fixed in transcendence. So, but it almost all relate to the same thing, bringing up Bhakti Yoga. Glimpse of Bhakti Yoga is given in chapter 2. In great detail, full of Bhakti Yoga is discussed in chapter 12. But we are not there at the platform. So that's why Krishna is not speaking of pure devotion service until chapter 12. Because everybody has to come to that level. Krishna cannot present directly that platform. So now he is going systematically, is presenting one by one. So from Sankhya Yoga, Jnana Yoga to Karma, Dharma, then he is coming to Nishkam Karma, then now he is presenting Bhakti Yoga. Now Arjuna has a doubt. You are telling me to Dharma, you are telling me Buddhi Yoga, Krishna consciousness, you are telling fixed in Krishna consciousness. Then what exactly that means? How do I know? So that's a 2.54 is the first question Arjuna is asking to Supreme Lord Sri Krishna. Till this point, Arjuna surrendered, but he didn't ask the question yet. This is the first question. He told in the 2.7 surrendered that please tell me decisively what should I do. If you take that as a question, this will be the second question. So here Arjuna is asking 3 things, or you can say 4 things, but mainly 3 things. Sthitha Prajna, Arjuna was Sthitha Prajna ka vasa samadhistasya kesava sthitadhir kim prabhaset kim brajet kim asit kim sthitadhir muniruchyate. One who you are talking about this picture of Krishna consciousness, who is that person? How do I know? What are the symptoms of a person who is fixed in transcendence? Sthitha Prajna. Prajna means one who is intelligent. Sthitha means situated, fixed, not moving. Today he is doing one thing, tomorrow he is doing something else. No, he is not operating on the gross, he is not operating on the subtle, he is operating on the spiritual body. Like Sri Prabhupada example, every day, exact same time, he is doing the same thing. Whether he is traveling, whether he had sleep, enough sleep or not, no, he is exactly doing the same thing. He is not, time is not controlling him. The people are not controlling him. Prabhupada is controlling the time. Prabhupada is operating on the spiritual platform. That's what Here, Sthitha Prajna means one who is situated in that transcendence. So that's why Arjuna is asking. I don't know exactly how do I know what are the symptoms. So that was the first thing he mentioned. And then what is the ka bhasha? What is the language? Means we'll understand that. And then the main three questions are kim asita, kim prabhaseta, kim asita, kim brajeta, kim. So how does he sit? How does he speak first? Prabhaseta. Kimas, how does he sit? And then how does he walk? These are not literally mean how does he sit or walk. Rather, how does he behave? Walking means whether he's talking something but he's behaving something else. He's saying something, he do this, but he's not himself is not doing the same thing. So that is what that means. Action and his talk is not on the same line. Achar and vichar is not on the same line. Then it will not transform him. Neither whoever is hearing, following him, they will not. It will not be transform them also. So that's why that is very important aspect. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has emphasized clearly. Achar and vichar must be on the same level. He must do what he is saying. So one must be on the platform. Otherwise, preaching will not have any result. Transformation will not be there. So one must act. So anyway, so that's the three questions. How does he sit? How does he speak? Speech. Is he agitated by his speech? His tongue is agitated. His speaking, his speech is agitated. His senses are agitated. Or is he in fully situated in confidence and transcendence? Is not agitated by anything. So that's why those symptoms are all one by one. So that was the question. So now the 55 and 56 today. That 54 is a very elaborate topic. I had given two classes last week. We discussed. Before that also I had given a class. So that can be discussed for many days. But in the interest of time, so we are going to now 55 to 56. So from 55, 54 to all the way to 72, this section is called last section, sixth section, Samadhi, fixed up in Krishna consciousness, fixed up in transcendence, Bhakti, Yoga, you can say. So all these are the aspects. These are the various titles we can give. This is the last section of this chapter. So now to answer Arjuna's question, Krishna is speaking. Sri Bhagavan Uvacha, we see, Prajahati yada kaman sarvan partha manogatan. Atmani evatmana tushta sthitadir muniruchate. So Krishna is addressing, first of all, Arjuna's, let us understand Arjuna's problem, why Krishna is speaking this. Then we look at the examples. First, Krishna is saying, Prajahati yada kaman sarvan partha manogatan. First of all, the mind, one who is situated in Krishna consciousness fixed up, he doesn't operate on the gross platform. He doesn't operate on the subtle platform either. That means he doesn't act whimsically. He doesn't, because what is the business of a mind? First of all, let's understand the hierarchy. So in third chapter later on, Krishna explains that. So first one is the gross body contains obviously this various senses. Gross body includes senses, karmendriyas, especially the hands, the legs, genitals, all this, and the jnanendriyas, the ears, the eyes, the nose, the tongue, and then the skin, touch. These five jnanendra, knowledge acquiring senses, and then obviously karmendriyas, working senses. So this is the gross body. And so then above this, Indriyani parani ahur indriyebhyam param manasastu parabuddhe parasatu sa. So above this gross body, there is a subtle body. Subtle body contains mind, intelligence, false ego. When a person is leaving this body, what is going on? The gross body is there only. Gross body will disintegrate as either you cremate or either you bury, or you in some place in Parsis they throw to vultures and birds. So whatever way you do, it disintegrates gross body. But the subtle body, mind, intelligence, false ego, which we cannot see, is the one which is carrying into the next body. As soon as he gives up, the soul may be there for a day or two, lingering around, depending on how much attachment he has to his family and whatnot. So then the soul will enter into another body, in another mother's womb, whatever species of life, depending on his karma, at the end what he was thinking. So all that will place. Karmana deva netreva jantor dehopapatai. Then he is taking up this body, again entering into another mother's womb, so coming out again. So this subtle body is taking the impression, the samskaras, the chittas, whatever you say, all that means this mind, intelligence, false ego. That is happening. That's what is happening. Even when somebody is giving up his body abruptly, suicide, then what happens? He takes a ghost body. That is subtle body completely. Otherwise, what happened before that also we discussed one class. One somebody is going to the hellish planet, which is there all the way below the Garbhodaka ocean. We are in the middle planetary system. 14 planetary systems are there. Earthly planet we are in. There are six below us, including we are on the seventh, and then above us again seven higher planets. So total 14. So all the way below 14 there is a hellish planet, Naraka. So when somebody is going there completely because of sinful activities, is not what kind of body he is going to get? Yatana body. When subtle body, just like the subtle body, he gets yatana body where he will be given so many types of disturbances, difficulties, not the difficulties. He will put through so many miseries. But he will be either he cannot give. Generally, if we have this kind of the body we have, we will not be able to even stay in that. But the yatana body is such that you will feel so much tremendous agitation, tremendous, you cannot even take it. But that yatana body, you will be able to take it. You will continue on day after day, so much miseries people they have to take. So that is yatana body. But a person who gives up the abruptly without following the providence, without naturally death, but then he gets a ghost body. Ghost body means subtle body, no additional body. Means if somebody generally leaves, then he'll attain next going into another mother's womb. There is a gross body, there is a subtle body, and then spirit soul is there. Obviously, that is the third level. But in this case, ghost means there is no gross. Gross is gone completely. Only subtle body is there. But his desires are there. He has to fulfill. Then he'll take another body. That's why the ghost sometimes, it entered into somebody's house. It harasses people. Because when his desires are not fulfilled, then he'll constantly agitate. And through some other body, he will enter and then he will try to fulfill his desires. That's what happens with the ghosts. Ghosts are there. It is not that it is not a fake, it is real. So it is depending on what the person has done, accordingly he will attain certain type of body. Nothing is by coincidence, nothing is by chance. Everything is happening by the under the divine super will, based on the activities what the person has done, free will. So don't think that why this virus or anybody, even some people may die within the womb just in a month or 2 months, or even just in few days. As soon as conceive, it doesn't last long. That is all based on the past karma only. It is not nothing. God is not trying to force something on a living entity. It is all by our karma reaction has to be faced. In today's world, we see abortion. Today's world, people are killing left and right other living entities, whether human beings or animal. Then who has to face the reaction? The person who is doing only has to face the reactions. Whether I know it or not, that doesn't matter. As soon as you are a human being, then it acts. So to the degree, how much degree, depending on how much you are repenting or how much surrender, all those things, that there is some variation. But definitely there is a reaction. That's a small reaction. But one person takes Krishna to Krishna consciousness, surrendering, then there is a different reaction to it, different way to look at. Krishna is speaking that in Brahma Samhita. In Bhagavad Gita also Krishna is speaking that karmani nirdahati kinchut bhakti bhasmi. Your lines, whatever is written, it will change because you have taken. So otherwise, no point Krishna saying sarva dharman parityajya mam ekam saranam vraja aham tvam sarva papam. He doesn't need to say that. I am going to take away all your sinful activities, because you might have come from so much sinful background, but minute you are fully surrendered, then he will take away. How is that possible? The reaction, yes. Instead of big things, very small things may happen. So that's why there is a different perspective to look at things from the Shastra, based on what Krishna is speaking. Anyway, we understand gross body, subtle body, spiritual body. So that's why Indriyani Parani Ahur, Indriya means senses along with this body, external body layers. Then Paranyahur, Indriyebhyam Paramana. Next to the senses, next to the gross body is the mind. Mind is in the next level. The senses, controller of senses is mind. So that's why mind. This is in Canto 3 in Sankhya Yoga. This is also explained. The false ego is the first. So from false ego, when it is in touch with the mode of goodness, mind is generated. When it is in touch with the mode of passion, intelligence is generated. When it is in touch with the mode of ignorance, other things are generated. So that is explained in detail. We discussed that also in one of the class. But anyway, so the subtle body here, the Indriyana Paranya or Indriyabhyam Paramana, Manasastu, above the mind is the Manasastu Parabuddhe, intelligence. Above that intelligence is Parasastu Saha. Saha means spirit soul. The above spirit soul is super soul. Super soul is the guiding the spirit soul to the extent he is surrendered. To the extent he is surrendering, to the extent he is asking questions. He wants to follow. To that extent, Lord Krishna is guiding him. To the extent he has the bank balance of the piety, to that extent he is allowing him to perform certain activities. Krishna is not forcing anything, because love is by choice, not by force. So that's why. So we understand that is clear. Now here, basically, because Arjuna initially, what was his thought? He was telling, I don't want to fight. Based on what? What was when he's saying I don't want to fight because of all the reason? On what basis he gave? On the mental concoction. Because he didn't take any authority. He's not going with authority. He didn't ask Krishna's perfection. He didn't ask Vyasdev. He didn't ask any other guidance, spiritual guidance, authority. He didn't follow. Just like as soon as you go, because there is standards and procedures, standards, guidelines, whether it's business or you go to IT job. So, and there are that must be followed. Any job you go, any business you take up, there is certain standard, there is certain process. Any government also, there is certain standards and processes. Same way, for any work to be done, there is certain standard and process what should be done, and that's why the rules and regulations are there. And so the religion is that is nothing but, and then on top of it, we need to understand the essence of that rules, and otherwise it will. Either you know too much of the rules, but you don't know the actual essence behind it, that becomes a problem also. And then at the same time, you know the essence, but you don't want to follow the rules, because we are not at the highest platform to do like that. So we both has to be combined. The rules and regulations and the philosophy both must be known. Essence must be known, and we must follow also rules and regulations, because we are in the Vaidhi sadhana bhakti, that means following rules and regulations, as we follow in company, as we follow in the business, and we follow under the guidance of the manager, whoever it is, business manager or IT manager, whatever. So same way here also Arjuna should have followed it. He should have followed the authority of Shastra and Sadhu and Guru. But he is whimsically, he is following his own mental mind's concoction. He is saying, I don't want to fight compassion, I don't want to fight because I have no enjoyment, I don't want to fight destruction of dynasty, sinful activity. Then that's why Krishna is speaking this. So you are operating initially then, but as once Arjuna received all this, at the end of Bhagavad Gita, you can see Krishna is asking at that time also, did you understand everything? What is your decision? Then Arjuna says, it is up to you. Choice was given to, still after, despite giving all these instructions, Krishna didn't force him. Krishna gave a choice to him. Then he decided, Arjuna decided, my intelligence, all this false ego, everything is my, whatever difficult doubts, everything was removed. Nastamoha smritirlapta prasadan mayachata. So, karishya vachanatava. Exactly whatever you say, I am going to do it, because I understood everything. So that he surrendered because he received instructions. So in this verse, that's why Krishna is telling, give up your mental speculations. Don't act based on the platform of the gross body. Senses will dictate you in so many different directions. Do this, do that, because it is attached to the gross body. It is constantly attached from childhood, and then attached to the extended gross body. Deha apatya kalatra adisu atma senesh vasatsapi. Tesham pramatto nedram paschannapina paschati. Then is not able to see what is the reality, what is happening. So that is why this is the problem of the gross body. Arjuna is putting himself, presenting himself as is operating a gross body. So that's why Krishna is saying, what is the first and foremost symptom One who is fixed up, okay, he doesn't act on this gross body. Neither he acts on the subtle body. Subtle body means mind. He doesn't take mind's direction. Mind can drag into so many different ways. Um, but we can see from example of Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada is always operating on his spiritual master's instruction, on the authority. Whenever he is speaking, whenever he is acting, he is not operating on the mind's direction. So he's not getting distracted by mind's directions. So that's why we have to. So now we can see from the example of one example, so Prabhupada's disciple, one of the Mataji. So there is in Dallas ISKCON temple, Radha Kalachandji. These were already, I also learned it recently. I thought this was the first installation. They were installing, this is 19, probably 80s or 70 something, not 80s, 70 only, 72 or something, 72 or 73. Dallas, Texas, Radha Kalachandji, beautiful temple. So these were installed, but initially these are old deities. So old deities, 500 years old deities, already installed. Something happened. I don't know exactly what exactly has happened, but these deities were brought to Dallas, Texas to install. So then when they opened it, they already deities are all painted and everything ready, but everywhere there's a glue kind of thing, burlap, some kind of paint. It got stuck everywhere and throughout the deities. It got stuck everywhere. So this Mataji, the head deity department head, as instructed, they tried their best to remove it, but it didn't go. The sticky thing is there in throughout the deity's body, transcendental body. So they tried, but they couldn't leave. So then they left. They assigned this service to one of the Mataji, and then the head department head, she left to do take care of some other things. Then she could have asked the direction of the. So Prabhupada was there, right there, because Prabhupada told within 2 days, complete this installation, everything, whatever has to be done, get ready, keep everything ready. We have to install in 2 days. That's what Prabhupada has told. But then we have to consult the authority, GBC. Prabhupada was there, GBC was there. Or at least whoever has assigned her the service, she should have consulted. But here, what she did there, she tried to use some other substance, the paint remover. She started using that. Not only the places where it is sticking, but she started using it. One place paint came off. The whole paint came off in a big area, not just the area where it is sticking. And then gradually, the way she did, she completely the whole did. She thought within 2 days I will finish the repainting. She didn't even realize that. She was not even aware that they were already installed deities previously. They were being installed previously, worshipped before. So this is second. She was not aware of the history. But either way, whatever, even if they are first time also, we are not supposed to remove the paint. Only if there is a portion which has to be fixed. That's the difference. But that also we should have asked. But she didn't ask. She went on and ahead and removed the whole paint. And then she started. Then head of the department came and saw what's happening. Then she was struck and she was completely shocked. What has happened? Then finally the news came to. Then she started doing the whole night. She could understand this is a big problem. She was repainting, but the painting, it is not getting dried up. Then whole day, whole night she tried, but it's not getting dried up. It is all wet everywhere. So this cannot happen. Then within 2 second day you can do the installation like this. Then news went to Prabhupada. Satsarup Maharaj told Prabhupada this is what happened. Then Prabhupada told him, then you pack my bags, pack my bags. You can do whatever you like. I'll go back. You will do whatever you like. Because this is what, when the Prabhupada himself, founder Acharya himself is there, they didn't consult. They didn't consult anyone. They just went on. So then Prabhupada asked, who has given you, sir? Who has done this? Then they told her, okay, she's the one who has done it. Then who has assigned you? Prabhupada asked. Obviously, she could understand now by this time that it's a great offense to do this for the deities, and a great offense not following the authority and then taking a direct decision directly and doing whatever the way she likes. Then she did it. Then she could understand. Then she remembered that In Srimad Bhagavatam, we see King Bull, the Parikshit Maharaj asking in the Canto 1 at the end, age of Kali entering. Then that time, the sin personified Kali he is killing. He is actually already 3 legs are lost to the bull, and then bull is crying. Then Parikshit Maharaj asking, who has done this? Who has lost your 3 legs? Who has beating you? Who has done this? Then bull, Dharma personified. That's why he didn't blame on anybody. He didn't blame on anybody. So same way, she also thought like that. That she didn't blame that my head pujari as the one head of the department of deity. She has given this service. She didn't say anything. She kept quiet. She was crying. Then finally, Prabhupada, then somebody suggested, what can be done? So what to do now? So then somebody suggested some other way to fix this. Then all right, do that. The Prabhupada told finally. So this is the very important instruction. Whenever we do, especially in deity services, even at home also, any main things, any important things, before we take up, even for material things also, new job, what kind of job we should take. So even for buying cars also, I know many people, they just go and check it up and directly go to the dealer. There's a way you deal with that. If you don't know how to deal with it, you go to the sales rep, that's it, you will finish, you will pay almost full price. And so that's why all this requires knowledge for material things. For spiritual things, we require authority, we require guidance. And that's why we must approach, we must read regularly, we must hear regularly, we must approach Siksha Guru, Diksha Gurus. So that we follow in the right direction. It requires, this is not only here, even when we go to the spiritual world also, we are always guided. We are always guided by the spiritual master or the associates of Shri Radha and Krishna, depending on where we are, what rasa we are on, Santa, Dasya, Sakya, Vatsalya, Madhurya. Depending on that, we will be guided by the cohort boys or the gopis, so like that. So, or the servants, so Dasya. So, whatever rasa we are in, accordingly, we are even there also. Sometimes spiritual master may instruct there also. So, Guru's connection is not just here only for initiation. No, Guru's connection is eternal. Chakshudan dilo jai, janme janme prabhu se. So, that's it, very important. That should be our only goal, is to please and serve the spiritual master. Without that, there is no progress. Without understanding, surrendering, and following in that footsteps, it's very difficult. There is no way to progress. So now the another example, important example here we see from Chaitanya Charitamrita, Raghunath Das Goswami, one of the 6 Goswamis. They are already scholars. Raghunatha, all the 6 Goswami, they are not ordinary. Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami, also when they met in Ramakeli, first time, when they met Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they are still working in Nawab Hussain Shah's government as Prime Minister and Finance Minister. Then they met Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the night time. They came to meet confidentially. Then the first time they put dry grass in their mouth, and they fell down, posted obeisances. And then they're asking first time, Ke Ami Jare Tapatre. I don't know we don't know who we are. What is our duty? So what is that? So everybody calls us that Pandit, Nitya Satyakare Mani. Everybody tells us that we are the Pandits, scholars. But we don't know actually who we are. What is our duty? What is the goal of life? We don't know anything. Please direct us. Please instruct us. So this is the way they are submitting. But by that time itself, they are already discussing Srimad Bhagavatam. They are already studying Srimad Bhagavatam. Sanatana Goswami is sitting with 20, 30 Brahmanas discussing Srimad Bhagavatam every day. So it's not that they don't know, but it is they are showing by their own example. It is also means Shastra is teaching, Krishna is teaching in this way from different personalities. So they are also not they are putting humbly, because they are actually thinking in that way. It's not that just to teach others they are up. No, they themselves are thinking low. They themselves are thinking, I don't know anything. Actually, I should ask the authority. So in this way, now we see from Raghunath Das Goswami, the same way as Rupa Goswami, Sanatana, how they asked, Sanatana Goswami, this Raghunath Das Goswami also, beautiful conversation. When Raghunath Das Goswami, before that also, Raghunath Das Goswami, how is able to, he was a great son of a great Jamindar. So many thousands and thousands of dollars, if you compare to our rupees, whatever you say, we can say in Indian currency, so much almost every month, so much money. He is not he was very very rich man. He is son of a very very rich man. Hiranya Majumdar and Govardhan Majumdar. So before that, so they served Haridas Thakur. So we see in Antalila, Haridas Thakur, that time Raghunath Das was, he blessed them. He gave his blessings, Haridas Thakur. So after that, then he tried to escape. Raghunath Das Goswami also was, they had a family priest, Yadunandana Acharya, in Raghunath Das Goswami's house. They had deities. The Yadunandana Acharya was a disciple of Advaita Acharya. Okay. And Yadunandana Acharya was associating with Vasudeva Datta also. So in this way, already has a connection to this Krishna consciousness. But somehow or the other, because they were very pious, the family, Hiranya Majumdar, Govardhan, his cousin, father's brother and father, both are very pious, donating to the Vaishnavas and charity work, all those. But still they are attached to the everything, their job, their money, and everything. They are not able to fully engage in the process. So then Raghunath Das Goswami want to leave from home. So he tried his best. So by the mercy of Lord Nityananda Prabhu, I'm getting short. By the mercy of Lord Nityananda Prabhu, he tried his best to directly escape from home and go and meet Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But he tried it every time he tried it. Then his father used to bring back somehow the catch and bring back. So somehow he couldn't go. But this time, then he finally meets Lord Nityananda Prabhu one time. Then at Panihati Dham, Atlanta is also called New Panihati Dham. This happened in India. This is in New Panihati, which is in Bangladesh. No, India only, Bengal, West Bengal. New Panihati Dham. So that's where, so this has happened, meeting, first time. Raghunath Das Goswami met Lord Nityananda Prabhu. He was hiding from behind, distance. Lord Nityananda Prabhu saw, and then somebody told, his servant told, his associate told, he's the one, Raghunath Das Goswami, very rich, he's hiding. Then immediately Lord Nityananda Prabhu caught him, told him, you are acting like a thief, why are you hiding? And so you feed all my associates with chida dahi, rice and dahi. So then he was very happy, he fed everyone. Then instead of directly submitting Lord Nityananda Prabhu, he was submitting to his associate, Raghav Pandit. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has given his blessings. 4 places is always there, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Wherever Lord Nityananda Prabhu is dancing, wherever Raghav Pandit is cooking, wherever Raghav Pandit is there, at his home. Because in Raghav Pandit's home, his sister Damayanti used to send every year so many wonderful items. Description is there in Chaitanya Charitamrita to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Every year Radhayatra, they used to carry big loads of items for Mahaprabhu's pleasure and devotees' pleasure. So it is mentioned that Srimad Radharani used to cook in Raghav Pandit's home in the kitchen. So one of the place Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is always there at Raghav Pandit's home, where Lord Nityananda Prabhu is dancing, where Sachi Mata is cooking Sachi Mata's home, and where Srivas Thakur is performing Kirtan, Sankirtan, Srivas Anga. These 4 places Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is always there. Here also Lord Nityananda Prabhu was, after taking all this Chidadahi, he was dancing, he started dancing, then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also appears there. So here also, Raghunath Das Goswami, by the mercy of Haridas Thakur, by the mercy of Yadunandana Acharya, then finally he is able to meet Nityananda Prabhu. Then he was not directly submitting. He was not thinking, oh, I was able to meet Lord Nityananda Prabhu directly. He didn't ask instruction. Rather, he went through Raghav Pandit, his associate. Always, this is the etiquette always. So he is submitting to Raghav Pandit. He asked various things, what to do, how to do. Then Raghav Pandit submitted to Nityananda Prabhu. He served all the devotees. Even when he was leaving also, he served. He got the remnants of Nityananda Prabhu. Then he gave a lot of Lakshmi, gold coins. So gold coins and gold to Lord Nityananda Prabhu, his associate, and also gave it to Raghav Pandit also, whoever is there serving Raghav Pandit. So, and then finally he asked questions to Raghav Pandit how to do, and then Lord Nityananda Prabhu finally instructed him to, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself personally came to give the mercy. Right now he is dancing with me. He has came personally. And don't worry, now you will be delivered this time. Nobody will catch you. So you can go you can go to Jagannath Puri and you will meet Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. You will be under the guidance of Sarup Damodar Goswami, who is Lalita Sakhi. Srimad Radharani's direct associate. Ramanand Rai is Vishaka, and Sarup Damodar Goswami is Lalita Sakhi. So this is what, by the mercy of Lord Nityananda Prabhu, this has happened. He was able to go. Now the conversation between Raghunath Das Goswami and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, this is the important piece. 5 or 6 verses are there. We'll see, already 9 o'clock. A very important instruction. How Lord Raghunath Das Goswami is asking. So he's not operating on the mental concoction. He's not operating mental speculation. He's not speculating things. Even though he is a scholar, he could have done it. He doesn't need to ask these questions. Even though the questions seems to be very basic. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's instructions are also very, very important instructions. So this is in Canto, in Antilela chapter 6. Prabhu आगे कथा मात्र ना कहे रघुनाथ स्वरूप गोविंद द्वारा कहाया निजपात. So basically, so here it is mentioned Raghunath Das Goswami never spoke a word to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu directly, because he was being, as soon as when he met Raghunath Das Goswami met Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told, here you are given under the care of Sarup Damodar. Already there are 2 other Raghunaths before, so you will be called now onwards. You are Saruper Raghunath, Sarup Damodar's associate Raghunath. There is a Vaidya Raghunath who was when he was child, he was offering the prasad and he was crying. Then Lord directly came and in front of him he could see Lord ate the whole plate. That was the Raghunandan. Mukunda Datta's, he was a doctor. His father was a doctor. So his son, Raghunandan. So that was one Raghunandan. There was another Raghunandan also. And then this is the third. So this is Raghunath. Yeah. That's why he's called Sarupa Raghunath. So now, but even though Mahaprabhu, he met Mahaprabhu, but he never asked, because he has been given, your Siksha is happening through Sarup Damodar. So that's why he never directly approached or asked Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. This is happening, this is asked Sarup Damodar Goswami. Now Sarup Damodar Goswami is talking to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and mentioning what Raghunath Das Goswami said. Raghunath Das Goswami never spoke a word before the Lord. Instead, informed the Lord that and his desires through Sarup Damodar Goswami. Prabhur आगे स्वरूप निवेदिला आराधने रघुनाथेर निवेदया प्रभुर चरण. He is submitting at the lotus feet of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. What is the next day? Sarup Damodar submitted to the Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Now, Raghunath Das has this to say at your lotus feet. Ki mora kartavya muni na jani uddesha apani sri mukhe more kara upadesh. So I do not know what is my duty. This is a very important thing. So Raghunath Das Goswami is a scholar. He doesn't need to ask, but he is asking, what is my duty? What is my duty? And what is the goal of my life? He is asking. And therefore, please personally give me instructions from your transcendental mouth. This was asked directly to Sarup Damodar. He is not asking Chaitanya, but Sarup Damodar Goswami brought this and then mentioning to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. In front of Raghunath Das Goswami is also there. He brought him. So then the further. So Hase Mahaprabhu Raghunath Kahila Tomar Upadesh Kari Swaruper Adila. I already told you, I have assigned you a Siksha Guru. You should take instruction from him. Rather, I also learning from him. So that's what he say. So smilingly, Lord Jagannath told Raghunath Das, I have already appointed Sarup Damodar Goswami as your instructor. So साध्या साधन तत्व सिका इन्हर स्थान अमी ताता नहीं जानी इन्हो यथा जाने. So I don't know. So actually I am learning from Sarvadham. Just Mahaprabhu is telling, you may learn from him what your duty is, how to discharge it, how to execute it. I do not know as much as he. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is always teaching in this way. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu never said that I know. In all the conversation we see that how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself is submitting. So this is the characteristics we need to learn when we are. Mahaprabhu is feeling that way. It is not that is, but he is also showing by Supreme Lord himself is appearing as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But all these characters, and that's why Chaitanya Charitamrita is so amazing. Every character, every pastime is so important. Instruction is giving. Further, it is mentioned, तथापि अमार आज्ञाए श्रद्धा यदि होय अमार यही वक्ते ताबे करिह निश्चय. But nevertheless, but still, if you still want to hear from me, you still want to receive instruction from me, if you have a faith and love, if you have a faith and love. So, nevertheless, if you want to take instruction from me with faith and love, you may ascertain your duties from the following words. Then Mahaprabhu gave instruction, very brief, very important instruction. These two verses, very, very important instruction. ग्राम्य कथा ना सुनिबे, ग्राम्य वार्ता ना कहिबे, बाला ना खाइबे, आरा bala na paribe. So basically telling, do not talk with the people, do not talk with the materialistic people, do not talk like people in general, or hear what they are saying. So that's a Gramya Katha. And then Bhaktivinoda Thakur giving the commentary of Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati. Gramya Katha means anything which is not in relation with Krishna. On discussing, especially because here Raghunatha Das Gosvami is given up. He's entering into this is sannyas. Is in the sannyas category. So for him, in general, this applies also for devotees to at least to the greater extent. Especially those who are in Grihastha Ashram to some extent. So depending on what category, what stage they are operating on. So this applies. But to the extent we minimize, to reduce, to that extent it is very helpful. Those who are practicing Krishna consciousness, depending on where in the beginning stage they are taking initiation or off, so all these different levels are there. So to the extent we follow this, to that extent it is very beneficial. Gramya Katana is, do not talk like people in general, because in this world, that's why in the beginning, when Parikshit Maharaj submitted to Sukadeva Goswami, first thing Sukadeva Goswami addressed, first thing, this is what the point was. People, everybody has so many things to hear, so many things to, they don't have time. But what you are asking is the most important. Srota Vyadini Rajendra Nudam Santi Sahasra Apasyatam Atmatattam Gruhesh Gruham Edam. Srota Vyadini Rajendra Nudam. Thousands of things people have, but they don't have time for Krishna. They don't have time to understand what is the actual real goal of life. They don't have time. So that's why they are not able to see what is going to happen, what is happening, what has happened to their father, their forefather, and they are not able to see in their life also same thing is going to happen. And that we can see so many examples. So one who is treating their own father, their own family not properly, they are not taking care. What is going to happen to them? The reaction is already there. So the karma somebody has to face. So that's why everything happens. So we are already seeing what has happened in the past. Our father, forefather, they all have to leave the body. We are seeing all the sufferings, all the threefold miseries. But still we are not learning. We are not changing the course. We are not changing the plan of action. What we are supposed to do, how to transform, how to change our game on a day-to-day basis, how to plan. So that is not happening. So that's why here Mahaprabhu is instructing. So that don't just go with the flow. So do something about it. Do not talk like people in general and hear what they say. Rather, you should not eat very palatable food, nor should you dress very nicely. This very much fully applies to sannyas, but even it applies, those who are practicing Krishna consciousness very much applies this also. Prabhupada mentioned also. Yes, you can eat till your neck, but that is not the way. If you are practicing, otherwise how will you get up? Especially in dinner, if you eat like that, how will you get up? And you will not be able to get up, wake up. So that's why, yes, for Krishna we should offer chappan for 56 items. When it comes to us, we shouldn't eat like that. So we should eat moderately. Yes, once in a while festival, that's fine. So we cannot become desire. That's why in the purport Prabhupada is mentioning 2.50. Nobody can become desireless. That's not what Krishna is instructing. Rather, how to transform those desires. So that's why Prabhupada mentioned, chant the way to Godhead. Or even sometimes he has mentioned in one class, Generally, all glories to assembled devotee. He told all glories to the assembled dancers. So they were dancing ecstatically for 2 hours, 3 hours. So Prabhupada also started dancing. It was ecstatic. So Prabhupada, when he was saying the Premadhvani, Prabhupada mentioned like this. So even dance your way, go back to Godhead. Prabhupada mentioned. So chanting, dancing, feasting. So that doesn't mean that means we start taking like a feast every day, morning and evening. Then obviously we are not operating. Prabhupada can do that. He can eat and then he can just act like a fully fixed up Krishna. If we do that, then we will not be able to operate because we will be sleepy. We will not be able to be energized and active, only working after eating so much. So that's why, obviously, for Raghunatha Das Goswami, it is very strict. But for us, to the extent we can control, because that is the sense control is there. That's why. So eating very palatable food and also dressing very nicely. Yes, for Grihastha Ashram, this is there. We are going to the IT job, this is business, this is there. To the extent, it is again, there are different degrees depending on what stage we are operating, what level we are in, accordingly, this applies. So, because this is not, the bhakti is about internal. So, internally, we have to improve the consciousness. But basically, idea is not to be attached. So, as we can see already, like more we become attached to this body, to the dress, to the watch, to the cell phone, whatever things, all this extension of this gross body, then more we become attached. If you are using in Krishna service, if you are thinking that this belongs to Krishna, then it doesn't affect us. But that is not the case in most of the time. So that's why this instruction is very, very important, at least to some degree. We should take it to the, at least depending on our stage. We don't need to take it to the extent what Raghunatha Das Goswami has to take, but at least depending on our ashram, we should take to some extent. Some control, some regulation must be there. So that's it's very important. Further instruction, next one, important one. Amani Manada Hanam, Krishna Nam Sada Laibo, Vraja Radha Krishna Seva, Navase Karibi. So do not expect honor, but offer respect to others. Always chant the holy name of Lord Krishna. That is a Krishna Nama, Sada Laibo. And then within your mind, render service to Radha and Krishna and Vrindavan. Because Raghunatha Das Goswami is not ordinary. So that's why Mahaprabhu has clearly indicated that this worshipping Radha and Krishna within the mind. So that's why here, Prajahat Yada Kaman, Krishna is instructing Arjuna, give up your tendency that I am the enjoyer, I am the creator. So I want to give up. I want to renounce and go to forest. That's what he is telling. But Krishna, after instruction, Krishna is telling, no, actually person who is fixed doesn't operate like that. He doesn't perform his duty because there is no enjoyment. He is not looking at the results. He is performing the duty what Shastra is instructing, what the authority is instructing, what he has heard from the previous Acharya, what the other previous exalted souls have done. So he is following in their footsteps and performing it. So that's why he is instructing Arjuna, and then that is instruction for us also. So in that way, that's why it is very important. And, further verses also we see, but the time is already 9:11. So I'll stop here. We can go through many examples. This is not on Prabhupada's whole life we can see. So he never operated on the mental speculation. Always followed the guidance of his spiritual master. Is operating on completely on the spiritual consciousness completely. So he's not taking minds. That's why you will not see. I think I may. You will never see in his classes nor in his books. It is very confidently speaking because he has seen the truth, has seen Krishna, has discussed, has conversed with Krishna, has conversed with his spiritual master. So that's why he is confident. He is operating on fixed. There is no change in his actions or his behavior. So that I will stop. Any questions? Already 9:12. I will stop here. Any questions? Let's see on the phone first, and then we'll come to Google Meet. Any questions on the phone? No questions. Okay. Thank you. Okay. Go ahead. Anyone has questions on the Google Meet? No questions? Everybody?
No.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Someone was trying to say that. Sridhar Prabhu or Devan Prabhu, somebody was trying to say something.
I'll just say Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Okay.
No.
Hare Krishna. Okay, no questions. Then we will continue next week with the next verse. We're going to discuss further on the next verse.
Hare Krishna.
Yes, Mataji, go ahead.
Just one
Yes.
class. I think it's echoing. My question was that Mataji you were describing in Dallas, like how she painted and then it became like an offense.
Yeah.
So I wanted to know, uh, like when we are actually doing with a good intention and then it is turning out to be bad, then what do we do in such a situation, Prabhuji?
Generally means anything related to the deity, especially if it is a temple deities, definitely everything must be taken, direction, guidance from the authority. Whoever is close by, at least we are able to approach. Definitely, in terms of the handling, how to receive the deity, what we are supposed to do when we receive the deity, worshipping, everything. So everything we have to follow very strictly. If you don't know, then we have to ask. Otherwise, that's why a very serious deity department, the deity ministry had asked so many things. We had to fill application. They didn't give permission. They were not ready to give permission because this is now in Prabhupada's time. It was might be easy because Prabhupada is trying to establish them. But now we have been given the knowledge. Books, platform is there, so it is now more and more strict because Prabhupada has told, to the extent we decorate the deities, to that extent our heart becomes decorated, our heart becomes purified. To the extent we don't do that, cleanliness, the decoration, in the worship of the deity is not done properly. To that extent, our heart becomes blackened, means impurities. So that's why it is very important thing. So because it is directly, it is fire. You are in touch with fire. So that's why we have to be very cautious. Very, at least we need to know. We need to be aware how to take care of how to worship the deity. There also we see that. I forget. Raghunath Das Goswami. So later on we see that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, after seeing the behavior of Raghunath Das Goswami, Mahaprabhu, this is another. That's why there is a systematic way to approach. There's the characteristics automatically, the symptoms of a devotee will automatically manifest. The person who is exactly following the authority and guidelines is automatically manifest. That's what happening with Raghunath Das Goswami. Shasti Bhakti Bhagavati Akinchana Tadarvair Gunair Tatra Samasate Sura. Harav Abhaktasya Kuto Mahatguna Davato Bhai. One who is operating on the mental platform, he will not have any of these qualities. The humility or the giving respect to others, the forgiveness, all compassion, the love, the care, all these symptoms will not be visible. Doesn't manifest. He doesn't come to that pure state of consciousness. But on the other side, one who is exactly following the instructions of authority and executing it under his guidance, then naturally all these characteristics naturally will manifest. He doesn't need to externally try for it. So Raghunath Das Goswami followed very strictly whatever Sarup Damodar Goswami is instructing. He didn't exactly 100%. Then 3 years went on. Then Mahaprabhu, seeing this characteristics, behavior, the actions, he was very much satisfied. Mahaprabhu has been given by one of the sannyasi associate, Shankarananda Saraswati, I think. He has given, when he went to Vrindavan, when he came back, he has given two things, Govardhan Shila and conch shell garland. These two things were given to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu by that devotee, by that sannyasi devotee. I think probably his godbrother. So Iswarpuri's disciple, probably. Shankarananda Saraswati. Then when he has given, Mahaprabhu used to very much, he was enlivened by receiving those gifts. Mahaprabhu used to touch Govardhan Shila to his heart because he is not different from Krishna. Every day he used to be blissful chanting, and he used to wear that conscious garland also. So it is very much. So after 3 years of seeing Raghunath Das Goswami, how he is behaving, how he is acting, how he is completely fully into fixed up Krishna consciousness. So then Mahaprabhu one day he called him, and then he has given these two things. And so this is very dear to Mahaprabhu, but he has given. So now from this day you worship. Very important instruction is also there in that. You worship Govardhan Sila. Sarup Damodar Goswami is instructing, or Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is instructing this further instruction. Worship Govardhan Sila. Yeah, Sarup Damodar Goswami is instructing how to worship Govardhan. And then he also gave the conscience. So then Raghunath Das Goswami, Sarup Damodar Goswami told the way to worship Govardhan with obviously water, but Tulasi leaves, he told the Tulasi you should offer 8 of them every day, 8 Tulasi leaves. The one, each leaf, Tulasi flowers, it is mentioned there. It means one which has manjaris and it has leaves. One leaf on the other side, one leaf on the other side. So it must have 2 leaves and it should have manjaris. So in this way, the 8 of them every day you must offer along with bathing with water, Ganga water, or you invite Ganga. While taking bath also we say 3 times chant Ganga, that becomes Ganga will be invited into that water. So this way, this is very important. Also, Tulasi leaves is very important. So then that day onwards, he was started meditating, he was worshipping, he was taking into heart very seriously, ecstatically, he was performing that, and then he started even. They arranged all paraphernalia to offer boga to. So later on, Sarup Damodar Goswami again instructed by seeing. So everything is based on how we take instruction, how much we execute. To that extent, Mahaprabhu, the Lord is Paramatma, is arranging through different associates, different devotees. Lord arranges everything. So here we can see from Raghunath Das Goswami, Sarup Damodar Goswami instructed that way. After a few months, then he instructed, now you start offering Sandesh and Kaja every day. Then he arranged all the paraphernalia, whatever item, grocery needed through his personal associate Govinda. So in this way, we can see how the instructions have been passed down to the next level, to the stage we are operating. To that extent, automatically, Lord and the devotee will know. Whoever is instructing, they know what stage we are operating on, what consciousness we are in, according to the instructions. Paramatma is handling all that. So we are just being instruments. Whoever is giving that knowledge, Paramatma is seeing our heart and arranging everything. So in this way, that's why we have to be very trying to become a sincerely pray, sincerely serve, sincerely, especially it is mentioned, association of devotees, serving the devotees. That's because Raghunath Das Goswami served all these associates or devotees of Lord Nityananda Prabhu, associates, and he served Raghav Pandit, who was very dear to dear to Lord Nityananda Prabhu. He served him. So in a very humble way. So not that it's just money, because he has money he served. No, that is another thing. Yes, but with our heart we have to submit, we have to serve the devotees whenever we get opportunity. So then naturally we'll be able to transform our heart, because that's what Krishna is saying. What is his consciousness? Because he wants to, Lord always wants to see how he is serving his devotees. So that's why it is very important. So when we are worshipping the deity, so we must be at least offer Tulsi leaves if it is available. Sometimes in US it's tough. In winter season, sometimes Tulsi may leave. So that is another thing. But now Tulsi plants are available now, started available in the shops also. So we can get, so at least the Tulsi, if nothing is done that day, at least offer Tulsi leaves every day. But this cannot be neglected. So then gradually we can increase, we can try to worship the deity. But painting and all generally not supposed to be done by us. Even though we may know painting, it is best to consult someone who has done it, someone who has done consistently. Not today. Sometimes we see many devotees started painting these days. This is another instruction. We have to be very careful when we are dealing with deities. Even though we may know, so we should consult. We should always consult. Anything with the deities, generally the dresses, where to get it, what kind of dresses, everything. The boga, how we should offer, consistency, quality, all these things are very important. Prasadam, These are all confidential. These are all means internal, but it must be understood. It is not to broadcast. So yes, we can put Facebook and all on the deity darshan, but it is not to showcase. Oh, this is the way how I'm wonderfully worshipping. No, that is not the point. The point is how to actually internalize our consciousness, how to develop our intense love for Krishna, because he is personally coming there in Archa Vigraha to touch him, to feed him, to serve him. So that's why he's there. So it's not for any other purpose. It is to actually increase our love. That's what we see in Vrindavan pastimes. How cowherd boys, personally Krishna is fanning them. Personally Krishna is praying to praising Balram. Balram, see, because of you, all these trees, plants, it is mentioned. Prabhupada is mentioning Krishna. They had an impersonal view in their previous life. That's why they appeared as tree in one place. Another place. So trees. Now they are bending down all the way to touching, trying to touch your feet with their flowers and fruits. And see these drones, these birds. They are singing, they are humming. They have developed so much attachment to your lotus feet in their past lives. So now they don't want to leave you at all. So and then Balram sat down. He was tired. Then Krishna started massaging his feet. So Krishna himself is showing by his own example how to serve, how to serve. He doesn't need to do that, but Krishna himself, when he is in the Dwaraka Leela, but as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is even showing even much more. How constantly, every example we see how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself is serving his devotees. That's why it is very, very important. Following and serving means always both these 6 things are already mentioned. That dadati pratigrunnati guhyamakyati pruchati punjate bhojate dev sadvida priti lakshana. Giving gifts to devotees, receiving gifts, also inviting them to prasad and then taking prasad, giving prasadam to them, and also confidentially discussing with them, devotees, and then also sharing your heart. So both these 6 things are very, very important to increase our bhakti, increase our love to Krishna and to the spiritual master, to the founder Acharya, to the parampara. So that's what I hope that answers question, Mataji, or anything you want me to elaborate or anything.
Prabhuji, where is the Govardhan Shila?
Thank you so much for the very nice explanation. Hare Krishna.
Yes, Prabhu, Devan Prabhu.
Where is the Govardhan Shila now?
So the Govardhan Shila, which was given by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to Raghunatha Das Goswami, is now kept in Sri Radha Gokulananda temple in Vrindavan Dham. Very, very important pastimes. This is Antalila is amazing. You read again and again and again, still you will not feel the beautiful verses. The first verse is also the first verse of this chapter, Raghunatha Das Goswami's chapter, also is a very beautiful verse. Each chapter, the way Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami speaks, just simply is so much enlivening and blissful. He's telling, there also is speaking. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is already exalted soul, but he is speaking Chaitanya Charanam Boja Makaranda Liha Baje. So I want to drink, I want to approach that lotus feet of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, drink the nectar, honey oozing from the lotus feet of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Not directly, not directly. He's telling Yahara Prasada Matra. So through the devotees, this he wants to receive this drinking this honey through his devotees who has received that mercy from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He doesn't want to jump directly. He wants to receive through the devotees. So this is the way. He is always is approaching, is offering these kind of beautiful verses, beautiful gems of verses in each and every chapter. So you can understand. This is the mood they are operating on. So this is always that. That's why we see that this is. They are operating on fixed of Krishna consciousness. They are not operating. They are always following under the guidance. Even though they are highly qualified, they are directly the associates of Radha and Krishna. But still, they are showing by their own example, and they are also thinking in that way. It's not just showing by, but they are thinking in a very humility. They think themselves as low because they are at the highest stage. That's why they are able to think in that way. Naturally they feel like that. But for us, we cannot imitate. So, but as long as at least we should try to follow the instructions of the spiritual master and Prabhupada. So, to that extent, we seriously try not to jump, not to try to speculate things. Even material life also, it is very, very important. It is good to ask questions. So that's why sometimes they may ask spiritual master, then they ask the other devotees, like if spiritual master is a sannyasa, so how can he will instruct in grihastha business? He may not instruct each and every detail of how to do things in grihastha ashram. Then he may ask other devotees who are in grihastha. So then he asks them to consult with them, so that because they have experience. So in this way, so Prabhupada has also answered to many disciples many times what to do, even second marriage, whatnot. So many issues, every issue Prabhupada was addressing, very concerned, very loving, very caring to each and every disciple. Doesn't matter male or female, small or big. He is always giving his time and compassion and love. So this is the way. To the degree the person is sincere and surrendering, then to the degree Prabhupada, Paramatma is arranging and Prabhupada is reciprocating in that way. And so that's what we have to learn. Same love and compassion we should try to cultivate, so that will help us in our bhakti. Okay, already 9:30, we'll stop here.